Hello, everybody. Welcome back to One Leeds. I hope you're all doing fantastically well. I'm on cloud nine, to be honest with you. I'm on absolute cloud nine. An absolutely fantastic, exquisite performance from Leeds United. Guys, before we start with the video, we're just going to get a word from our sponsor, and then me and Brownie will be right here. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel, and I'm here to talk to you about a Leeds United based sponsor on the channel, teamwallart.com. The link is in the description. Worldwide shipping, and it's unbelievable, guys. As I've told you before, this is the sort of stuff that you can get from these guys. My favourites on the end here, accused of everything, guilty of nothing since 1919. You can get this one for $5.99 if you buy another one for $7.99, and I did that. I've got the one of Marcelo Bielsa here, a beautiful image, really good quality as well, by the way, and of course the title winning boys. Some really good stuff on there, guys. As I said, the link is in the description. I went to these guys. I love this sort of stuff, and they are Leeds United fans. Go check it out. Enjoy the video. One Leeds is now sponsored by OneFootball. OneFootball is a really classy app. You can get all of your Leeds United updates on this app. You can get all the transfer news, injury news, match day news, and it really is top quality. The most downloaded app regarding football on the site, so make sure you go check it out. The link is in the description, and I hope you enjoy the video, guys. Yes, everybody, and like I said, thank you for sticking round. It's a great time at this moment in time to be a Leeds fan. I think it really hit me last night what we're actually doing this season and how incredible it really is. And I just think last night we're going to get into it, me and Brownie. So I'm going to invite him in now. I don't know. I need to have a drum roll for him, to be quite honest with you. But I want you to take a look at what he's wearing. He's got his One Leeds hoodie on, and I don't have mine on. It's in the wash. I'm sorry. Brownie representing, as always. Here he is, guys. Brownie, how are you doing, mate? All right?
Oh, it's beautiful. It's brilliant when Leeds win, isn't it? It's just a such better world. 3 points.
Mate, talk to us about the feel of that hoodie. What's your experience right now?
I was on the phone to my mate when the post came, and I put it on. I went, by the way, this feels unbelievable. Like it's the softest hoodie I've ever had in my. I'm going to sleep in it and everything. It's like so soft. I'm not going to lie. I'm absolutely sweating my gonads off, but it is so soft.
Brilliant. Yeah, guys, you can get that obviously, as you all know, on well, you can get it in the link in the description below and on the site. But Brownie, I mean, I want to start somewhere, mate, but just overall, really quickly, summarise that for me. How good was that?
It was another Premier League game that we eventually made look very easy. In the end, it looked very comfortable. I did think we were going to win the game. And when I saw their team with Ings and Minamino on the bench, I just couldn't work that one out for the life of me. I was just filled with even more confidence going into it. Confidence wavered a little bit in the first 10 minutes, but once we got to grips with the game and could stand on our feet, we just kind of blew them away towards the end. And it was another game where it was 3-0. It could have been 6. It really could have been 5 or 6, and it wouldn't have flattered us.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a really good idea to sort of, whilst analysing the game, touch on the first 10. I mean, the first 10 was really interesting because for me, it was touch and go, really. It could have gone either way. I thought Southampton started strong. I thought they were pressing high. I thought there was a lot of balls going out. You know, we weren't able to get our passing rhythm, patterns going. And I thought Southampton were on top in that first 10. Do you reckon that's fair to say, Brownie?
Yeah, I mean, we could have been 2-0 down. The Vestergaard header and then the teller when he went through, and Melies made a good save. It could have been 2-0 after 8-9 minutes. It almost had a feel like, because they were pressing really high. I remember on Sky, they panned out and you could see they had like 8 players pressing our throw-in. And it almost had the feel of like a heavyweight boxing match type of thing, where if you just hang in there and weather the storm, and then they think, bloody hell, we've given them all we've got and we ain't got through. It kind of had that feel, just hang in there, stick in, and eventually we'll run away with the game, which is what we did.
Starting lineup, when Shackleton went out, Llorente came in. Initial thoughts? I mean, I think me and you were playing injury bingo, weren't we?
I mean, I think he did okay in the previous game, but it just echoes what I said. We just felt more comfortable as the game developed. We just felt like it just was more experienced in it, and it felt like we were playing with more of a back 3 with 2 wing backs type of thing. It didn't really feel like we really had anybody sitting in that position. Obviously, I don't want Shackleton to be out for a while. The more options we've got, the better, and it's better to have more options. But I think, well, just the scoreline shows it just worked better, didn't it? We just had more of a foothold in the game once we got past that 10 minutes. Yeah,
and guys, there is 371 of you watching now at midday, which is mental. So if you wouldn't mind smashing all that.
Leeds win. When Leeds win, you just want to content after content after content. Videos. I think I've watched the goals 333 times myself.
So yeah, guys, if you wouldn't mind hitting a like on the video and subscribe if you're new as well. And that's it. I think the first 10 minutes, you're right, Brown. It was, you know, we saw the formation sort of developing and we were sort of getting used to it, which I think we always have to do with the 3-3-1-3 formation. The reason being is because it's not our comfortable formation. Calvin Phillips isn't in the anchor controlling the game. And I think we saw that in the first 10 minutes. And when you initially saw the 3-3-1-3, I think without Calvin Phillips in general, we've got a 17% win rate, which is mental.
Yeah, it is. And it also echoes, like we touched on then about staying on our feet, the amount of times we were slipping over in that first 10 minutes. And we might touch on the pitch later. But just for Raphinha, he's doing what he's doing on an ice rink.
You've said this, haven't you?
Can you imagine him on a pitch where we can actually go full pelt and he's not having to worry about falling over? Because my word, like it will be when it's a pitch is slippy. It will be like both teams. It's the same for both teams. I personally think it's dangerous, but like we say, we might touch on it in a bit. But it is the same for both teams, and I think Bamford alluded to it that I think we played the pitch that little bit better because when the pitch is slippy, you do have to maybe not go in full pelt. You have to hang off a bit. And I think that was catching them out a little bit with their high press. They were trying to press us that high that they were running in. I think it was the left-hand side, but quite a few times he was slipping over and we were just popping around him. So I think the pitch, we did play it a little bit better. But I think that's going to get ripped up again in the summer, isn't it, that pitch?
Yeah, I'm waiting for the 20-point sanction from the Premier League. That's what I'm waiting for. It's classic Leeds fashion, isn't it? But yeah, let's touch on him. I know a lot of people are talking about him in general. Llorente, and we just touched on him there in terms of him coming in for Shackleton.
Yeah,
I thought
first 10 minutes it was a bit shaky.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I was looking at him, and I actually said to my dad, and I've said this about him in the Chelsea game. And listen, I know he came on first game, not played under 23s all. Came on when he played at Newcastle as well in the first 10. Yeah. I described to my dad. I said he just looks a bit scatty, and my dad said that is the perfect word. He looks a little bit scatty. He looks a little bit like he wants to force things really quickly. And I think that first 10 minutes he was. I mean, but you've got to. Once again, as we always say, Brownie, you've got to contextualise it. He's been out for so long, barely played any under-23s games. What was your assessment in that first 10 minutes of how he was adapting to the game?
Yeah, it did have a rusty feel to it, didn't it? It did feel like his passes were misplayed, but he wasn't alone with that. I thought Ayling first 10 minutes, and even Raphinha first 10 minutes on that right side. The balls they were playing were going straight to them. Could that be due to their high press? Probably, yeah. But yeah, for Llorente, it did have that rusty, scatty feel to it, but it was good to see. There was a few times when he passed it and misplaced the pass. He was beating himself up. He looked really angry with himself. He knew he could do more. He knew he could do better. And over the course of the game, I mean, the first goal, it started with Llorente, the threaded ball through the lines into Roberts. It came from Llorente. So as the game developed, he grew into it, which is a good sign. Yeah,
definitely. No, I'd agree with you. I think when we got, obviously, we'll get onto the goals in a little bit, but I think he developed into the game. He sort of, I mean, I tell you what, mate, that ball to Roberts, and obviously, as I said, we'll get onto the goal in a little bit, but I mean, the confidence to just whip that ball past 3 or 4 men. He took about 3 or 4 Southampton players out the game with that pass. And what I quite like about him, Brownie, and I think it works against him sometimes because maybe of the pitch, maybe just of the players in the middle not wanting to receive the ball. He fires that ball at players. He fizzes it every single time. There's no little a tentative pass here or a tentative pass there. He fizzes it, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. He really gets a hold of the passes and really wraps it in, which again, it could due to the pitch. Does he want to make sure it's getting into the player? He don't want to, like we've said with Meslier, if the mistakes at the back, it ends up in the net. So with them passes, we don't want them getting cut out, especially with them pressing so high in our face. You just showed that once you do beat them lines, there was quite a few times we were 3-on-3 or 4-on-4 just by bypassing with that big, strong pass through the middle.
Do you think how do you see Llorente going forward? Do you see him as a player? I envisage it. Cocken, Stroy, they're my 2 centre-halves. That's what I see us going forward with as a progressive club, you know, into the next coming years, really. Young centre-halves who are brilliant. And I'm not saying Llorente isn't, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on him? Do you think he's going to step into the first team? Do you think he's going to be a first-team player, or do you think he's going to be sort of a player that we're going to bring off the bench in these sort of situations?
I mean, do you spend millions and millions on a player? I mean, he wasn't cheap. He's a Spanish international. I don't think he's come to Leeds from La Liga to be on the bench.
Do you think this, Brownie? Sorry to interrupt, mate. And I think Mike AS has made a really good point here. With regards to the 4-1-4-1, we know we're good with it. But is there going to be a variance of the formation? And with Llorente there, do you think it's been in the mindset of Leeds to be able to start a back three, and that's potentially how we're going to go forward with these three?
It did suit us. I think it did suit us. It allowed Ayling to be more progressive, and on the left hand side, it like Dallas. I mean, touched every blade of grass, I think, this season, hasn't he? I mean, the back three, it does. We do seem more solid, but if you're doing with a back three and two wing backs, where does Phillips then fit in? There's so many. Like I've noted down, Koch. How does Koch get back into the team when he's fit?
Yeah,
I know what we're saying about the defensive going forward, but it was another game where Cooper's put a centre forward in his pocket. Cooper didn't put.
Can we touch on him?
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't put a foot out of line again. And he's the captain of the club. After 16 years, he was the one who lifted that trophy to get us to Premier League. I know sentiment is a big thing, but it's another game where he hasn't put a foot out of line.
And this, Brownie, this is where I find, and Dale, I can completely understand, because I'm probably in that ballpark in terms of longevity. Koch starts over Cooper, but I look at it this season, and listen, I know Koch was adapting, but he had a fair few games. And initially at the start, we had a fitter team, really. We had our players in our positions. We didn't have players like Rodrigo out. He was playing all this sort of stuff. Yeah, Raphinha wasn't, but Phillips was a major part. Dallas was left back. Koch was in sort of a steadier team, I think. And there were mistakes from Koch. Yeah. And I'm not calling him out. That Leicester game sort of sticks out. And I know players naturally make mistakes in this team because of the risk-reward factor. What I will say about Liam Cooper, and I've said this multiple times so far, this guy barely puts a foot wrong, in my personal opinion. There's no errors, there's no mistakes as of yet. His positioning's very good. As you've said, Brownie, when the ball's coming over the top, he's excellent. I think from corners, he can be a bit suspect. But it's got to be, for me, an agenda, because if Koch was putting these performances in, everybody would be going nuts over Robin Koch. But because Liam Cooper is, and he's not fashionable.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. I mean, I think more goals have come from Koch this season than Cooper, but everybody seems to want to play Koch. I do get it. He's a German. Is he a better footballer going forward? Probably, yeah. He probably will be. Yeah. But like you say, he has been susceptible to mistakes, and Cooper hasn't put a foot out of line. Does it come to that competition thing where he knows he has to perform to high standards? But it's another game where he has put the centre forward in his back pocket. And the partnership between Strike and Cooper is where we've had our most clean sheets this season. It's fact. It is. That's where we've got our most clean sheets. But isn't it it's wonderful to be able to have this debate. Do we play a Spanish international? Do we play a German international? Do we play a Scottish international? Or do we play the Belgium or Holland international, whichever one he fancies? I mean, we're spoilt for choice at the minute, really. And we've come a long way, haven't we?
Yeah, and as Tommy says here, at the same time, the Koch was outstanding against City, Villa, Everton, Sheffield United, just in everything. Tommy's bang on there. I think he's been excellent.
For me, I think Koch's proved more than Leventi at the minute. For me,
oh yeah, he's had more time though, hasn't he?
But yeah, exactly that. He's played more games. He's had more time. He hasn't picked up the injuries. So just have to see. I mean, I think nobody wants to say it, but we are safe. We're safe now. So between now and the end of the season, it is a chance for players to stake that claim, because there's only one way Leeds are going, and that's up. We're not going to regress. We're always progressing. I think I've seen Phil here this morning tweet that we're looking at 5 signings in the summer. And
I think I've seen someone comment that in the section. Actually, is that what he said?
Yeah, full well them 5 signings ain't going to be mediocre. They're going to be high quality signings. Look at the signing with Raphinha. They're going to be high quality signings. So between now and the end of the season, the players on the periphery, it's a chance for them. They've got a chance to be part of the project, so to speak. So between now and the end of the season, you might see us mixing things up just to see what really works. But I think you've touched on it before. Bielsa's never had a fully fit squad since 2018. It always feels like someone comes back in and they get lucky because someone's then injured. It just they slot straight back in, and he's never really had to make that really big judgment call of, right, who's going to play. It always feels like there's an injury, so you step back in.
Yeah, exactly. Touching back on the game anyway, we had a bit of an incident with Mr. Teller, who was winding me up no end throughout the entire game. I think he's come from Arsenal. I think he's got to Southampton, and I think this is one of his rare starts for the Southampton first team. And I mean, let's just touch on that penalty. I mean, what did you think straight away? Initially, I looked at it and I thought dive, because it's just his body position. I just thought, Jesus Christ, man.
Before we go on to dive, it was his first Premier League start. I thought it looked quite lively. First 10 minutes, I thought, bloody hell, they've got a little bit of a player here. But as soon as it went down, I think I tweeted it. I said, if this is given via VAR, if it's not overturned, I was done with it. I was absolutely done with the whole thing.
Yeah,
if that was stood, you just think, well, where are we going? I don't understand, and it's happened a few times. I don't understand why these players aren't getting booked, because they are deceiving the referee. Like he's just said, then it's because back in the Championship last year or before VAR, if you deceive the referee, you'd get retrospective action. Yeah. So I don't see the difference. They are conning the referee. Without VAR, that penalty stands.
Yeah,
that's where VAR comes in and is good. And it's very rare that I say that, but that is where VAR should be used. What I don't understand is why Mariner had to go look at it. I don't understand why that took 2 or 3 minutes. Whoever's in the VAR booth should just go, that's a dive. End of debate. Like it happened in the Champions League. I was watching the highlights after the game, the Giroud goal. He didn't have to run over to a monitor and check everything. It was just told, like, goal, give the goal. Dino's absolutely bang on. Raphinha gets booked for making a gesture to someone who's ill, but someone diving and trying to cheat is just a free kick. It doesn't sit right with me. It just doesn't sit right with me.
No, I really didn't like that at all. Listen, they've had this thing about taking your shirts off for years, and you'll know, been an ex-pro, about taking your shirt off and all this rubbish, which is fine. Yeah. I get that, Brownie. What I don't like about it is when there's evidently a gesture there. There's deaths and things like Ronaldinho. It was about Ronaldinho's, I think, his mother or something has died. So he's done that, and then he gets booked for that. Like, what's that about? Like, how can you get booked for that? It's shocking. Yeah.
I get the whole booking. If you like, I think Nicholas Bentner in the European Championships once got booked because he was advertising something. But when you're making a gesture to someone who's ill or someone who's died, personally, as a referee, you must feel a tit. Like, you then going to book someone who's making a nice gesture to the family. I mean, imagine the uproar if that had said R.I.P. Granny Val and he's then getting booked. It's the same thing.
Yeah, with all the media coverage surrounding Granny Val now and what a wonderful person she was to our club in terms of Calvin influencing him and just being a massive part. I think Bamford was saying afterwards what a massive part she was. So if Phillips is on the pitch, Phillips scores, takes his top off, R.I.P. Nan or Granny or whatever. He gets booked for that then, does he?
He gets booked, yeah. It's just I mean, I don't have muscles, mate, so I was never taking my top off for a celebration. There's no chance. But
the principle, though, isn't it, Brown? It's the principle.
It's the principle. I mean, I get it. Where do you draw the line? What's a nice message? What isn't? For me, unless it's Mike Bassett, England manager, and he's stripping off all his clothes and he's celebrating bollock naked, you don't need to book him. Like, no. It's what is, and this whole thing. I remember I got booked once for inciting the crowd. My own crowd celebrating in front of my own fans. Last minute equaliser to get a replay in the FA Cup, and I get booked. And it's not causing any issue. You see, I think it was the Aston Villa game where Leeds scored at Roof when we scored in the 95th minute, and Roof went running over to the Leeds fans at Villa Park. He gets booked.
I know, I hugged him.
His own fans. I can't remember his name. There was a Nottingham Forest player. He'd been booked in the game, and it was the last minute again at Villa Park, and he's gone celebrating over his own fans. He's jumped over the advertising boards. He's celebrating with his own fans. He got sent off. He got a second yellow.
5-5. Was that the 5-5?
I can't remember, but he got a second yellow and got sent off. And you just think he's missing the next match, or he's getting a yellow card for celebrating a goal. Where are we going with it? No,
it is mad. Guys, as well, we've got some mad numbers. We're going to keep going. There's 622 of you watching now. So as I say, if you wouldn't mind liking the video and subscribing, that'd be amazing. I think this is the most we've had on the channel. So kudos to you.
Winning for you, mate. It's just it's just so beautiful. The world, the birds are singing, the sun is shining. Leeds are in the top half of the league. Oh, we're going on a European tour in a couple of years. I mean, I think I had a tweet last night from someone. He said he was 16, and it makes you think the people of that era, they've had nothing but rubbish. Let's be right. They've had nothing but rubbish for the last 60 years. So for me, you've got to soak it up. They've got to enjoy it. it's taken a long time, and fair play to them for sticking around. But now it's for people like that where these games are deserved. And I just think Ellen Road next season, we're going to be in the Premier League. It's going to have that, because we always say about the second season syndrome of going down like United have. Next season, it's going to be like it's our first season again, because all the fans are back in. It's just going to be a pure party. And like I said earlier, there's only one place Leeds are going, and that's upwards.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like people can turn around and say second season syndrome, but you look at all the teams that have had second season syndrome. We've had like Reading, we've had Sheffield United. In that second season, they're not going to invest like Leeds will. They're not going to do that. They've not got someone like Marcelo Bielsa at the helm who's able to attract players. They've not got, in their first season, they haven't had like players like Raphinha and Rodrigo who are examples of, if you come to Leeds, what can happen. They haven't had this. So Leeds are in a different conversation when you're talking about second season syndrome.
This might sound a bit of a big-headed comment as well, but they're not Leeds United. They're not Leeds United. And people, you hear this, they're not a big club. Leeds United are global. That it's fact. Leeds United are global. And
Brownie, can I say one thing about a club who I will say, and I know we're not on the best terms with them right now, but in general rivalry. But you look at Villa. Villa are a classic example of where Leeds. I mean, I know we literally can go above them, but what I'm trying to say is the investment they've made in their second season, where they're going to get second season syndrome. Yeah. That's our trajectory. It's upward.
I mean, yeah, exactly. And I mean, again, I think Villa are similar to us. They're not a Sheffield United. They're not the Reading. They're not the Norwiches. For me, Villa belong in the Premier League. They are a Premier League club. They're a massive club. I mean, I know I grew up, my era was the 90s growing up, and the Premier League was Villa, Leeds, it had Forest, even Sheff Wednesday to a degree, them sort of teams in the Premier League. And I mean, Villa and Leeds, they seem to have formed this rivalry of hatred over the last couple of years from nowhere. And I'm sure we'll touch on that on the preview before Saturday's game. But it's another club where they look to be on the up as well. Yeah. And where's credit's due, I suppose.
Exactly. All right, we'll touch on the game again. So I've got down their free kick. I don't know why I've got their free kick. Maybe it was because we were giving away stupid free kicks. Why have I got their free kick down?
The first one they should have scored from, the Vestergaard header.
That's it. Yeah, that's why I've got it down. Yeah, Vestergaard header. Yeah, I mean, we gave away a couple of silly fouls, which got me swearing at the microphone at the start. But overall, it was a bit of a let off, I think, that Vestergaard. I'll be honest, Brownie, that Vestergaard header, I thought that had nestled in the bottom corner.
So did I, and I think, we spoke on it about the preview. We actually said, we physically said.
Oh, Brownie, that's it, Brownie. I'll let you finish this. That was what I was touching on.
Yeah, we actually said.
It's the whistle one with Ward-Prowse, the free kick.
Yeah.
That's the one.
But we actually said, I remember saying, the one thing that we worried about Southampton was Ward-Prowse delivery, Vestergaard header. And after 4 minutes, we'd given them a free kick to allow Ward-Prowse to deliver it and a Vestergaard header. And I was really relieved that it didn't go in, and it didn't really seem to happen again in the game, did it? But yeah, the referee's whistle. For me, it depends on if the referee is only the referee and Ward-Prowse will know this. But when you're playing a game, some referees will let you take it quick. Some referees will say, "Wait for the whistle." It all hinges on me. If Mariner said to Ward-Prowse, "Wait for my whistle," if he said that, then he's got no arguments. If he hasn't said that.
My point is, Brownie, yeah, you're right. And if he said it to him, fair enough, Ward-Prowse has got something there. But Ward-Prowse doesn't even glance over his shoulder to look at where a lot of people were saying, well, Mariner had the whistle, in and around his, about to blow. But Ward-Prowse didn't even look at him. No trigger.
There's no debate that the whistle was well after he's passed the ball. There's no debate in that. And he's even whistled again before he's shot. So it's no goal. But
it's Brownie as well, mate. As well. Not only that, but the Leeds players stopped. Like it was like I don't know if you've seen dodgeball, But when White Goodman thought that they'd won, at the end, and he's going like that, oh my god, we've got to win, we've had to win this one, and and then it gets chalked off because his foot's over the line. And he's like, no dodgeball, no dodgeball. All that like that. They're all going absolutely nuts, and it's like, well, hold on here, Marina's not giving you the go ahead. Every single Leeds player stopped. They all just stopped. Melee literally stood there like that.
It's simple. It is no goal. It's no goal because he's played the ball. I think I've seen a video this morning where it's in slow motion, and the ball's near the edge of the box by the time the referee's whistled. So the whistle is what, like you say, he's not looking at the referee to try and time the kick to kick it as he's blowing it. He's not even glanced at him. The referee's whistle is what you play to. There's that big saying, play to the whistle. The whistle hasn't gone. So
weird that, innit? Play to the whistle.
I will say on that though is the last few weeks, Wolves especially, it swings around. We have earned some luck. There's some of the things that have gone against us this year. I link back to Crystal Palace, the goal that deflected off Costa from the outside the box. There's been so many things this year, and if that's one thing that's swung in our way, then so be it. But at the end of the day, he hasn't blown his whistle, so the game's shouldn't have started.
Brownie, I didn't turn round after that and go, "Oh, we got away with that one." I didn't do that.
No, it's simple as that. He hasn't blown the whistle, so you can't play.
Matthias Klick goes down. Pitchgate for me once again looked like it just knackered him. I think I put it out on a tweet. It'd be interesting to see Jack Grealish on this pitch. But Klick off. I want to know your opinion. Did that help us? It seemed to.
I think we looked better with Alioski and Costa on the pitch. Once they'd come on, Alioski and Costa. It's later on in the game. The game's more open. I completely get that. And when Romeo went off, they brought on Gineppo. And at the time they did that, I thought, wow, they've just taken off their anchorman and put on Gineppo, who's an attacking player. And it just sort of like felt they've just pressed self-destruct button. They just opened the pitch wide open. So, yes, I get what you're saying, that once Klick had gone off, we looked better, but the game was more open.
It's a good point, that. It's a good point.
Towards the end of games are stretched. Teams are tired. So you look at players, you have this super sub thing when you come on into games and you score goals. The game's more open. The game's a lot different in the last 20 minutes than it is to the first 20 minutes. However, on Klick, he just doesn't look the same box-to-box midfielder that he did. He has played a lot of games, and I mean, even this summer, he's not going to get a rest. He's going to be going away with Poland, so it's another 6-7 weeks of football. He's not going to get a rest in. He's had 2 games out in 119 games or something. It's a lot of football, but he just seems to have gone to this more tippy-tappy passing football. He used to be the one arriving on the edge of the box. That's how to describe it. He used to be the one arriving on the edge of the box to get on things for shots. And it's a long time since Klick's really been breaking his neck. I know he got into the box in the Wolves game and he hit the post, but as a whole, he used to get into the box a lot more than he is doing. Maybe that's because Phillips is out. He's playing that deeper role because he's been told to. I think when Phillips comes back, it'll be a little one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, because I'm still not sure even with Phillips there. I understand he's played these games, and I'm not for one saying he's a bad player at all. I love Klick, one of my favourite players, but it is a massive step up, and with this step up comes consistency, and you've seen a lot of our players, Dallas being a key one, Raphinha, Bamford, who are all consistently putting in these quality performances, not quality, but sort of 7-8 out of 10s. I think there's too many performances with Klick where it's 4-5, and then we'll get 1 out of 5, which will be an 8 performance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll throw Harrison into that bracket.
Yeah, I would.
I'd throw Harrison in. I said to my brother last night, when was his last influential game? And he said Leicester, and it was like, yeah, it was. Like, he's very in and out, but that it's just like you say, it's a step up. Harrison's been brilliant for us. He's chipped in with some really good goals. Some games he's really unplayable, and some games, as a winger, it's easier for games to bypass you, though, sometimes as a winger. Sometimes games will bypass you as a winger. But he's come off at half-time, and Costa he's took his flack recently, but he was chasing back, something that he hasn't really done much lately. He was getting past fullbacks. He won the free kick for the goal. He set up the second goal. He did well, did Costa, I thought, when he came on. But you need to see more of that from him. Like, it's, again, 1 or 2 games like that, and then he'll come on and not do anything. So different games. I think last night, whoever would have come on in that game last night would have shone. As soon as Romeo went out of that pitch, the game, it was just sort of like it was just blown up. There was just gaping holes everywhere. And in that last 10 minutes, we could have scored 3 or 4.
Yeah, no, agreed, and we'll get onto that. Harrison is my next point, and I've always said this. Listen, he'll score his goals. His pressures are brilliant. There are so many parts of his game. I think, as I've said on this channel before, his ceiling is so high, and we know the ability of the player. But there are so many occasions where Harrison goes like this, because he looks up at the air and he's frustrated with himself.
He knows he can go that little bit more.
Yeah, and we know, but I just think his decision making sometimes, like, you're coming up against Southampton last night. The defense is completely torn apart. Every single time he gets the ball, instead of taking them on, and we saw this against Wolves with Semedo, they seem to get in his head a little bit. And if they beat him once, if he goes on a one-on-one occasion with them once and he loses, he starts cutting inside. And as a winger, you'll always see this with Raphinha. He's aggressive. If you'll get there was one time last night, I think there's a couple of times where Bednarek in the first half actually intercepted him, and he got the ball, came forward, and Raphinha wasn't great, but Raphinha's aggressive and he keeps going back at him. Harrison, for me, doesn't have that side to his game. It's quite easy to get in his head. And I think some fullbacks, we saw it against Wolves, we saw it against Brighton, we've seen it last night. He seems to be phased out of the game really easily.
Confidence, like you say, Raphinha will get on it and go again. Because like we said, in that first 10 minutes, Raphinha did give the ball away quite a few times.
Yeah, he did. But
it's just the confidence to keep going and getting on it. And like I've said that on the video before, that sets the elite players to the very good players. It's that confidence to, you've made a mistake, just give me the ball again. Give me the ball. I'll have it again. I'll have it again. Just keep going on. But I'm just looking at something now, and it's just something that's dawned on me now, because I hear this argument with a certain player about his age.
Are we moving off from Harrison now?
No. Similar age to Tyler Roberts is Harrison. You forget that Harrison's really young, and all I keep hearing is his age. He needs time. I would say Harrison's done a lot more in his time at Leeds over the 3 seasons. So I get what you're saying, and I do feel that he has 1-2 really good games, and then it'll drop away for 2 or 3 games. But then it's his first year in the Premier League as well. We keep forgetting it's his first year in the Premier League. It's Klitsch's first year in the Premier League. It's a completely different level of football. And
his numbers, Brownie's numbers are still very, very good this year. It's just some inconsistencies with him, isn't it? But you're going to get that in the Premier League.
It's really nitpicking, because you're right, his numbers are really good, but he does get frustrated with himself because he knows he has that next level again, which is, it's great that we can sit here and say Harrison's got another gear, because I think he does have another gear, and then you've got a hell of a player on your hand. I mean, I think he's going to be a snip for 10 million. We're going to sign him for 10 million pounds. I think in today's market, that's a snip. He's English, so when we get into Europe, he'll be part of our quota. He's homegrown, so it all helps when we get in that European spot for our quotas.
I'll tell you what, Brownie.
Good point for Mark. That's spot on for Mark. Sorry, just before you speak, he's got Raphinha on the other side, and I noticed he switched last night quite a few times. They were on opposite flanks, and he absolutely spot on. He's learning from Raphinha. Costa's an experienced player as well. He's got really good wingers at the club who he can learn and develop from.
Yeah, and ironically, King Gelhard has just put he's got some absolute bangers. His confidence will develop, and I think there's going to be 2 players in an attacking sense who we're going to start to see a lot more of, and it's going to be really interesting to see where we see Gelhard and where we see one that I absolutely love in the 23s, Somerville. Unbelievable player, and I'm telling you, we're going to see him knocking on the door very, very soon, which is very exciting. So this is why players like Harrison, players like Costa, even Raphinha need to keep those levels up there, because there's players knocking on the door.
We touched on Melia after the Arsenal game, and it was that has he got anybody pushing him? I think Melia, since Arsenal, I think that Arsenal game, as daft as it sounds, has done Melia the world of good, because these 2 games since then, he's been assured, he's been comfortable, he's kicking, he's mixed it up, he's gone longer. He's gone longer a lot more. So it's almost as if he's learned from them mistakes. And as a young keeper, that's brilliant. And his last 2 games have been faultless, to be fair, absolutely faultless. So at the top end of the pitch, it's the same thing. Competition for places. I mean, we were talking about Koch how's he going to get back in with Llorente, Stewart, Cooper, Rodrigo. Where's Rodrigo? He's got Rodrigo. He's got Raphinha. He's got Harrison. He's got Costa. Bamford. You've mentioned Greenwood, Geldart, Somerville pushing from the 23s. I mean, and then we've already said we're going to sign 5 players in the summer. Deary me, it's so
to be honest, mate, it might be interesting to see if certain players, even players that we've signed, could maybe move on. That's going to be interesting to see.
Well, there's a few coming towards the end of the contracts. So, like I said, between now and the end of the season, I think we are safe. If they want to still be at Leeds United, it's huge that they start delivering. Definitely,
I'd agree. We don't. It's not going to be passengers, I don't think, in the next couple of years, Brownie. I think it's going to be an elite team.
Exactly.
Brownie, let's move on to your favourite player, Tyler Roberts. First half, it was okay. Missed obviously during the game. Missed 2 very good chances. I thought he was giving.
Sorry,
mate. He was giving us a little bit in the number 10 role. I thought he was dropping back. Sometimes he was getting the ball, making a few passes that were a little bit wayward. He wasn't, sometimes he'd get in that little gap and then sometimes he wouldn't. He was a little bit inconsistent. But Brownie, what I will say, mate, 2 assists in his last 3 games. I mean, what? I know you've got certain thoughts on Roberts. What are your thoughts? I'll let you go.
I mean, I want to love him, but it's just very
frustrates you, doesn't he?
Yeah, Raphinha's done all that hard work. He's skinned Bednarak for the 30-odd time in the first 20 minutes. He cut it back to Roberts and he's hit Subway. It's just relax. He's got so much. He has got ability in there. It's just very. And then the one in the second half, it gets cut back to him. He's in the middle of the goal. He puts it wide.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, any Leeds player, I want them to do well. I would have loved him to score last night. And people go, that's what he does, blah, blah, blah. I keep hearing this. He needs more games. He's played 74 times for Leeds. 74. It's not
are they coming on as subs or are they starting?
I'll look into the starts and the subs. It's still 74 games. It's not like he's just broke into the team. No. And he's got 13 goals, 2 of which were against Hull, which were the worst Hull team I've ever seen in my life. I think me and you'd have scored 1 each against Hull that day. He has got something, and it was a great ball through to Bamford. Love that when he eventually controlled it. He did get it through to Bamford. It was a great sliding ball. That's what we need to see him do more of. That second half, if he performs like that, then bang a new contract down. He is young. He's 22. I buy all that. He's an international footballer. But we've just said, we can't have passengers. We can't have him doing well. And then it's just that frustration thing for me. And I think for me with Roberts, I think the frustration's more because I know there is ability there. There is ability there with him as a player. There is games where he lights it up.
I think Sam's just put this in the chat though, Brownie. Is Rodrigo doing the same things? Because for me, Rodrigo, there are a lot of inconsistencies in that central midfield role. So he's our sort of starting 8, isn't he? With Click potentially. So are we seeing the same mistakes with him in that role? You know what I mean?
I can't believe I'm sat here comparing Rodrigo to Tyler Roberts personally. But, I get what he's saying. There's times where it doesn't come off for Rodrigo, but no, I'm not comparing Rodrigo to Tyler Roberts. Sorry, I can't do it. I can't do it.
What about consistency though? Consistency in that role, or is it because Rodrigo's learning the role that there is that inconsistency?
Rodrigo's learning the role as well, though, isn't he? They're both. I mean, Rodrigo's a 9.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's learning the role.
But because Bamford is the new Lewandowski, he can't get Bamford out of the the area. Who was it that said that in the chat? Sorry, because I can't see it.
Oh, it was Sam. Sam, and now it's Sam saying, Sam saying, yes, I'm bang on as well, which is there you go.
Sam, I do get what he's saying with the consistency, but I mean, Rodrigo in that West Brom game, West Brom, you told him, and Man City, he came on, changed the game.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
I'll take what Sam says and I'll look into it and I'll come back with some. I don't like saying things without knowing the full facts. So I'll look into Rodrigo and I'll look into Roberts and I'll get back to you on the next show.
Well, James Wilden said 65 league games, 36 starts, 7 goals, 8 assists. So I mean, I guess you can make what you will with that, really. But there you go. There
that surprised me. That's quite a lot of starts, isn't it? It's a lot of league games. I mean, he's not rubbish. I've not said he's rubbish. He's not shocking. He's a Premier League footballer at the end of the day, and he plays for his country. It's just very just he'll do something really good, and then them 2 chances, just put them in the net.
Is that what you used to tell yourself, Brownie? Just put it in the net.
Well, it did go in the net, but
I'm with you on it, to be honest, mate.
But yeah, second half, that Roberts performance, and it was similar in the Arsenal game. He came on and did really well. I would have liked to see Roberts play the full game, personally. I know that sounds really weird because he's not my favourite player, but I'd like to see him play the whole game because once Romeo went off the pitch, I thought Roberts did enough to earn the right to have more freedom. It almost as if Roberts was the one who grinded him down, and then the likes of Hernandez, Costa, Alioski came on and looked miles better. But it was due to Roberts grinding them down and Romeo going off the pitch. So. Just before we touch on Romeo, because I want to touch on something with Romeo. With regards to Pablo, when he came on, I thought Pablo did well. I thought he did well when he came on. And I think that's what I was saying. I think whoever came on last night would have stood out because of how open the game was once Romeo went off. Anybody that came on last night, I think, would have stood out. You could have put anybody on that pitch. There was just so much space in there. And for me, I mean, who are we to question a Premier League manager? But the Southampton manager last night, Hutton, it just got so many things wrong. I just didn't understand his team selection. And I know he had to take Romeo off, but do you need to put Gineppo on? It just, once that change happened, there was nobody getting on the ball. It was just a wave. It was like a tap v defense once that change happened.
I almost find it like a little bit when managers do that, and I don't care because we profit from it. But you saw Roy doing it as well for Crystal Palace. I almost see it as like not a sign of disrespect, but it's like, what are you doing? You're literally you're causing yourself a world of hurt. So you're either stupid with what you're doing, or you just.
These are established Premier League teams that we're playing here. Like recently, we've played Wolves, Everton, Southampton. They've been in the Premier League years. We've been in it 6-7 months. Yet we're making these games look really comfortable and easy.
That's it, yeah. So Romeo, anyway, that is the best tackle I think I've ever seen. Raphinha breaking through on goal. I thought he took that extra touch he didn't need to, but what an outstanding. I think Brownie, we've got to, we can wax lyrical about Leeds, but I like to be balanced. I thought he was absolutely outstanding in the game, and that tackle just typified Imagine Brownie. Imagine if you're Mourinho, right, and you've spent that money on average Joe Højbjerg, and then you've got Romeo, who still is at Southampton, who is. I think he's absolutely quality. And that
didn't Mourinho was. I don't know the timing, but obviously Romeo was at Chelsea. Was it Mourinho who had him at Chelsea? It'd be interesting to see if he was his manager there. I don't know the timings on that. But yeah, Romeo, it was an unbelievable tackle. But flipping it round to Raphinha, again, it's that it almost felt like he wasn't in full flow. It felt like he was slowing himself down to stay on his feet. And that's where I was meaning. Yeah, that's why that extra touch came in. And I mean, I can put this in. I mean, I say Roberts texted him in touch, but I'll back him up with that. Roberts in the 10, it's a very hard position to play, and you need to thread these balls. You need to be agile. You need to be light-footed. maybe Roberts is taking too many touches due to the pitch. He's having to hold on to it for longer. So obviously I criticize, but I will back up players as well. I'm not just slamming players under the bus. Maybe Roberts is having to take that extra touch. Harrison, we've mentioned, he's having to get that ball under control and take that extra final touch to stay on his feet, because they know if they don't, they're falling over. But Romeo,
I think at St Mary's, I completely agree with you saying. I think at St Mary's, Raphinha puts that ball away very, very early.
It almost felt like he was slowing himself down from just outside the box to stay on his feet, if that makes sense, which allowed Romeo to get back in. But the tackle, nothing away from the tackle. What a tackle! I mean, you have goal of the season, you have save of the season. I don't know if they do tackle of the season, but it's going to take some beating, is that, because he's covered some ground as well. To then it had to be inch perfect. He's getting a red card and a penalty if it wasn't. So it had to be absolutely spot on, and it was, to be fair. But
I thought as well, Brownie, Rafa had to come inside, because what Alex McCarthy was doing, which is what Meslier does very well, he was narrowing that angle. He was coming out, and Raphinha literally had to come inside, get on his left foot, and he was going to wrap it round, wasn't he?
Yeah, and Meslier made a good save. I know it got flagged offside in the end. Not offside, handball, when Bertrand brought it down. What a save that is from him, and he's broke the record for most clean sheets. So fair play to him. He is another one that's really young. Most clean sheets, you can't argue with that. The stats are in front of you. He's most clean sheets and stuff. And I think even his catching the last couple of games has been better. He just seems like that howler at Arsenal's just got everything out of his system. And fair play to him, because it's some turnaround he's had from that Arsenal game, the last 2 games. But touching on the game, the score prediction competition that we had with surprise shirts, nobody got it right. Nobody called it. So we roll it over. I mean, it was very close. Someone had 0-0 and 2-0. Someone had 0-0 and 4-0. How did our score predictions go, Connor? Because I noticed you haven't brought that up, mate.
I was leaving that one.
I noticed that. How have they gone this week? Because
let me get my notepad out.
As much as I was cheering Raphinha's free kick, I was thinking, bloody hell. So I've gone 2-0 Leeds.
2-0 Leeds, but you get a point.
Point for 1-1 now, mate. 1-1. But we'll touch on we'll roll over prize on the preview for the next game. But yeah, great. There was loads of scores flying in. Nobody got it right. Game of 2 halves. Game of 2 halves, which it was, really. Yeah,
that's it, mate. So another point I want to bring up, and I think I was touching on this last night. Patrick Bamford has had. We noticed from the start that he's had. Marcelo Bielsa has given him clips to watch Haaland, and I think what you're seeing with him at the minute, and what you see with Erling Haaland in particular, is him peeling off the centre halves. And he's been doing that consistently very well, and it's instinctive with his striking. I think we've always said with Bamford that when he's got time to think about it, and we saw this through the game, when he's got time to think about it, he's not as good. But instinctively, which as a striker, you'll know yourself, if you're instinctively on the ball with it, you're going to make it to the top level. I just wanted to get your opinion. Whilst obviously you were at Leeds, Bradford, Notts Forest, all the clubs that you've been at, were you ever given a video from your manager, let's say obviously Michael Owen, and say, if you can put your game, if you can adapt your game and watch this, I mean, does that work, Brownie? Because it looks like he's making these Haaland movements at the minute.
Well, Ancelotti's done it with Calvert-Lewin, with Inzaghi, because obviously he had Inzaghi at AC Milan for years, and he's made Calvert-Lewin one-touch finishes. He said, I can't remember the stat, but Inzaghi, out of 300 odd games, 200 odd of them were one-touch finishes, 1 or 2 touch or less. So he's made Calvert-Lewin not take as many touches in the box. Comes in, shot before the keeper's set. The longer you take, the more probability the keeper's going to save it, because he's got more time to react. Yeah. So it's that instinctive first time or touch finish straight away, and that's what Ancelotti's done with Calvert-Lewin at Everton, made him look at Inzaghi. Never had videos, but what I did have, this is showing my age again, so people probably won't even have a clue, but Tony Cottee at West Ham scored loads of goals, and what he did was he'd draw diagrams of his goals. Every goal he'd draw a diagram, and he'd find a correlation of where he was in the box, of when the ball came from. And we had all this imagery and psychological stuff of games and relaxing and funnily enough, media training. But drawing diagrams, you could find where you were in the box and stuff like that. So for him to sit down and say, look at Haaland, it has to help you. It has to help you. Finding that correlation. If something works and it's constantly working, keep on doing it. Definitely. And Calvert-Lewin's been a revelation this year himself. I know he was coming into the team more and more. He's another young player, but his goal ratios profited from him watching Inzaghi. And Bamford's the same. People wrote him off left, right and centre. With good reason. He was missing sitters, but I think he's been more prolific. He's been more clinical this season. He hasn't missed the chances that he was missing last year. So him sitting down, watching Haaland, watching what other players do, has to work, yeah.
Yeah. Mouldy, Connor, a serious question for you on Bamford. Is playing with no fans helping him? The Leeds fan base were very split on Bamford, it seems. Question there. In fact, before the Blue Boys Network, before we get onto that, Brownie, welcome to the channel. So much better than Connor. Cheers, mate. These are the we've had on before. They're brilliant. I'd agree with you. He's much better than me.
Yeah.
But like what we're saying here about Bamford, mate. Connor, a serious question for you on Bamford. Is playing with no fans helping him? The Leeds fan base were very split on Bamford, it seems. Can I just put my 2 cents in first? So. We've had a bit of controversy, of course, online this week. Me and Brownie are always involved in it. But yeah, I mean, I was saying last year, I'll clear this up for the 50,000th time. I didn't think Bamford was good enough. I was vocal with my opinion. Didn't think he would get us up. He proved me wrong. Football's subjective. And now I'm completely on the Bamford brigade. Is that fickle? Probably, yeah.
Can I just say, Connor? If you were at a Leeds game or watching a Leeds game and didn't moan about Bamford, I'm going to tell you you're lying. Just going to say that. Everybody said it. I was backing Bamford to the hill. There was a time where people were calling Roberts to start over Bamford.
Yeah,
I wasn't personally having it. There was the whole Nketiah-Bamford debate. Everybody was saying play Nketiah. Everybody. I hope now we've put that debate to bed. Everybody was saying play Nketiah over Bamford. So what I will say is, yeah, you have said that, but people develop, people get better, people get worse. I will say you weren't alone in saying Bamford wasn't going to get to the Premier League. No, so Mouldy's right. People were very split with Bamford. But I think that goes on to what we've said. He was missing chances. He scored 16, 17 goals in the Championship. He's already on 13 in the Premier League.
Mate, Patrick Bamford in the Championship missed some massive chances, and and with that team, the amount of the XG we had after every single game, there is no question that Bamford has taken his game to another level, as so many of our players like Cooper and even Dallas. So I think in terms of the fan base, we're split on him, Mouldy, 100%, mate. It was probably 70-30, and fair play for people like Brownie. People, it's not like I didn't stick by him. I wasn't, people aren't hacking him as an individual. You're just saying as on the, and I always have done with players, and everybody does on this channel, and I know they do. You see it in the comment section. We don't want to build toxicity. It's all about the footballing ability. I didn't think he was good enough, but he's proven me and others wrong, and that's all we want in football. We love Leeds, don't we?
Yeah, I compared him to Firmino because Firmino was a very similar player with build-up play, and he wasn't scoring many goals, but he had Salah and Mane banging goals in left, right, and centre last year. Whereas last year, I just felt our goal, it was the weight was heavily on Bamford. He propelled us to the Premier League in the end, but the goals chipping in from elsewhere. Whereas this season, we've seen Raphinha's already got 4 or 5. Dallas is on 5. Harrison's up there with 4 or 5. And Bamford's got 30. We're getting goals all over the place now. But just one thing, I know you've mentioned the Southampton commentary that was talking about our Leeds burnout and how we're not very good in the last 15, 20 minutes of game.
Can I just mention his name before? Can I just contextualize it before we go on?
Yeah. Right.
So we've had Dean Hammond, ex Leicester, Southampton, few other teams. He's come out essentially today, and he's been on this podcast. I don't know what it is, but he's come out and turned around and said, in his preview, he said the good thing is with Leeds is they're always going to burn out with 20 minutes to go. I'll let you take the lead, mate, because
I'm just going to throw something out there. Like, how many goals do you think Leeds have scored in the last 20 minutes of games?
I'd go. If I'm looking at a percentage, I'll probably
I'm
go.
not that clever. I'm not that
All
clever.
right. Okay. So how many goals have we scored away from home? Have you got that to hand?
No, I just looked at this last 20-minute burnout and bollocks, nonsense, whatever you want to call it. In the last 20 minutes of games, we've scored 13 goals. And I'm gonna quickly run through them. Hull, Alioski, 93rd minute. Bamford, Sheffield United, 88th minute, which was a winner, by the way, when we burnt out. Bamford, Villa, 74th minute, one of his hat-trick goals where we burnt out. Raphinha, Everton, 79th minute, winner when we burnt out. Newcastle, we didn't score one. We scored 3 in the last 20 minutes when we won 5-2 when we burnt out. Dallas, we're 6-1 down, 5-1 down. We're still going. Dallas scored at Old Trafford in the 73rd minute. West Brom, we could have took our foot off the pedal. Raphinha scored a 5th in the 72nd minute. Leicester away, who were in the top 4. We scored 2 in the last 15 minutes at Leicester. And then last night, Southampton, we scored another 2 in the last 15 minutes. We scored 13 goals in the last 20 minutes of football. Yet we still have this burnout malarkey. I see comments about Leeds are going to get found out with the way they play. We've done it for 2.5 years. The same way.
But Brownie, can I just illustrate the fact? Southampton in terms of numbers, and we can talk about them being open when Romeo went off, that's fine. But in terms of numbers, Southampton are right up there in terms of fitness, in terms of Hasenhüttl's gegenpress. They are right up there. Leeds absolutely grinded them down in the last 25 minutes last night. They couldn't get out. It was all Leeds. And this is why it gets so frustrating when you get on the next day. And this guy has come out again and said on the review, he said, I thought, normally in all of the games, Leeds do burn out. And like you just said, that's way over 25% of our goals this season have been in the last 25 minutes.
13 goals in the last 20 minutes of football, and we still have this. It's annoying. You have pundits and commentary of people saying just utter nonsense. It's like it's not hard. I looked up that in 4 minutes. It took me about 3 or 4 minutes to look that up. It's just lazy. It's lazy. It's just there's no research. It's lazy and it's actually disrespectful to Bielsa's style of football to say that the way he's coaching that team, they burn out. Well, no, we don't. We're 25 games into the 30. Brilliant, Henry. Thanks for that, because my maths isn't great, mate. But I countdown, no good. But it's disrespectful for Bielsa to say that his teams are burning out. They're not good. We're 25 games into the Premier League. There's still no sign of burnout. We're still piling players for 90th minute last year. We're piling players into the box. Llorente, he's a centre-back. He was on the 6-yard box. He should have scored.
Well, Brownie, as well, all we've done there, mate, is we've included when we've scored. Let's look at the amount, like even Newcastle, West Brom. It could have been 9 last night. It could have been 9. So the amount of attacking phases we have in those 25 minutes, they surpass the goals back tenfold.
Yeah. Newcastle, the 5-2 game, there was still 3. There was a game, Harrison hit the bar where we should have scored. There's chance after chance going on late on in games, and you have people saying they always burn out.
Yeah, no. Okay, so what else have we? Oh Christ! What else have we got to talk on? We've got a couple more things. Well, we've got the goals as well. I think we've spoken about Bamford enough. Dallas, is he in contention for Player of the Year?
Well, he was my Player of the Year last year. I went on the polls. I went Dallas. I know Hernandez was hugely instrumental, and I understand everybody voting for Hernandez.
It had to be Hernandez.
It had to be Hernandez just for that, just for the Swansea game alone. That moment that he gave us all, it had to be Hernandez. But over the season, Dallas, we've spoke about Raphinha. Dallas is my first name on the team sheet. He's just that instrumental. You can play him wherever you want, and he's like James Milner. He's going to be 7 or 8 out of 10, no matter where you put him on the pitch.
He's better than Milner.
Wherever you put him on the pitch, he's going to perform and give us a performance. So Dallas, and I've mentioned this on one of our shows before. Leeds United did a clip. It was his 150th or 200th game. I can't remember. And they showed a clip of his montage of moments for Leeds. And he's put in some huge goals for Leeds over the years he's been here. And again, what a turnaround of a player. When we bought him for like 1.7, 1.8 million, it was like, what have we bought here? And what Bielsa's done with him is Hannah's right. Was it Hannah back there?
Yeah, our hero.
Hannah, he's our hero. He is. Hero's a great word, Hannah. Well done. Hannah,
From Leeds.
Yeah. I think he's got a great chance of being in the Euros this year as well as Dallas. He's got to be knocking on the door.
Southgate. Yeah. And finally, mate, we've not spoken about him, and this is probably the best thing to end on. Raphinha. I mean, what I've got to say last night is, with his first half performance, it was two sides, really. I don't think he was properly into it in the first, but as we've said, he aggressively kept going second half. When you look at that second half, what he did to Bednarek, he'll be having sleepless nights for seasons. It was horrendous. It was an assault on him. And the amount of, we look at Roberts' chance. We look at both Roberts' chance. We look at Bamford's chance. We look at Llorente's chance. This guy last night could have had 5 assists because he put them on an absolute plate for everybody. And
I'll go further, mate, because I triple captained him on my fantasy football team. I triple captained Raphinha because he had 2 games this week. He could have had 10 assists in the last 2 games. The free kicks at Wolves, bang on the money. The free kicks, Cooper could have had hat-trick. So there's another 3 chances. There was 4 or 5 last night. He's just producing after producing after producing. And Leeds Live tweeted out top favourite 10 players of all time. And I was having...
Good company, that.
I've got nothing but time on my hands at the minute, as you know. So I was sat down coming up with players. And I've been over Europe watching Leeds in the Champions League and the UEFA Cup, how it used to be called. It's a bold statement, right? Because he's only played 2/3 of the season. And I get the longevity argument. Technically, I don't think I've seen a better player at Leeds United.
Who you having up there?
It's a big statement, but I think already he gets in my 10 players.
Yeah, but if let's say if you have a direct comparison, your time watching Leeds, who are you having him up there with?
Cool on his day was different gravy, so to speak. That's the saying, innit? Different gravy. Kuhl was unplayable at times. He's up there with him, and Kuhl don't make my list because of what he did. But other than that, Kuhl would have been on it himself. But
do you think he's better than Kuhl at his best?
So I've said he's the best player in the last. Because obviously I'm 31. In the last 30 years, I think he's the best technical player. I get the longevity argument. Someone mentioned Cantona last night. We had Cantona for a season, and then he went. I hope that doesn't do the same thing for Raphinha. I don't think it will personally, but if someone wants to disagree with that statement, I would like to hear who's better than him.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to comment and throw out who's better than Raphinha has been in the last 30 years, I'll listen. Viduka he was on my 10, Dale, 100%.
I think one thing is, you look at, I've just lost this comment. Apologies there. Louis said here, let me just have a flight on this one. Yeboah in his first season.
He led my 10.
Yeboah, I think he had 47 appearances. I think he scored 25 goals and got a fair few assists as well. He was unbelievable for Leeds.
Yeah. He was in my 10. Viduka was in my 10. Kelly was my number 1. I don't know why. He's just been my favourite player all throughout the time. But
Woody was mine. Woodgate's my favourite player from that era. I loved Woodgate.
Kuhl's up there with him, but technically, he's just got that X factor. There's just excitement. He gets the ball, and that's why I can't wait for Ellen Road to be full. Because whenever he gets the ball, the whole place is going to lift every time he gets it. He's just got that awe about him where something's going to happen.
Will we see him?
Yeah. I think
you're convinced, because what if Scum come in for him, which I'm terrified of?
They probably will. There'll be circulation. We've already seen Liverpool talking about him coming in, but Raphinha, I think what Phil Hayes come out and said about we're going to have 5 new players, I think that's going to help him stay, so to speak. He needs more quality around him, because there is times where I can see him getting frustrated because he's levels above what we've got at the minute. There's no argument. He's levels above what we've got. So I can see him getting frustrated. Is he getting frustrated with the pitch? Probably. So is that the frustration element? But I just think
you could see him when he dragged. But the thing is, though, Brownie, in terms of football, and I want to get your opinion on this. If you're Raphinha, naturally with better players around you, and I want to put this to you, better players around you, you're going to get more assists. You're going to get more goals. It's the mantra of football. If he's putting those balls in last night, and he's got players, let's say we're talking about Liverpool, Fabinho around him, Henderson, whatever, around him, supplying him. He's getting in and around those areas more. He's scoring more goals and he's providing more assists because, like you've just said, mate, he's going to be able to do that more at a Liverpool, for example, or a City. Why would he stay at Leeds for a project if he's got that ability to be able to do that?
I think he'll get into the Brazil squad anyway. So he's already in the shot window. He's already... what he's producing in the Premier League's got him into. He will get into the Brazil squad, so he doesn't need to leave to get international football. Because I think he'll get in it. I don't think he's come to Leeds with the intention, with the foresight of him thinking we're going to be in Europe in one season. It's a newly promoted team. I don't think that'll have been any thought process. He'll have had to have been told the project. He won't have been told you're in Europe next season, mate. I don't think that's ever been pitched to him, that in one season you're going to be in Europe. So I don't think he'll feel he needs to leave to get European football. I think the signings we make will be key to keep players like Raphinha at the club, but I really don't think he will leave. And if he was to leave, he's got a 4-year contract. The money that it'd take to get him out of Leeds, you look at
60 plus.
60
minimum.
plus. 60 plus is what it'd take to get him out of Leeds.
How many clubs are going to offer that as well? Are Liverpool going to turn around? They've just bought Diego Jota. You've got Mane, Salah. Are they going to turn around? I don't know if Scum will, because Scum do that every single window. They shell out about 60 million, don't they, on a single player? I don't think Liverpool do it. Do you think they do it plus Dan James?
There will be offers. About absolutely no doubt about it. There'll be offers. Liverpool had to go shopping at Preston for a centre-back. I don't think they've got it at the minute, the money.
No,
I don't think they've got the money. I don't even think, this is another bold statement, I don't think they're going to make top 4. I don't think they're going to have the money to make it. They've got the same number of wins as Leeds. If you'd have told me that after 25 games, you're above Tottenham, you're above Arsenal, you're just below Tottenham, and you've got the same number of wins as Liverpool, I'm asking you what straitjacket you want to put me in. That's how well we've done this season. But as for Raphinha, I think he will stay next year. But then obviously we're going to need to kick on again. Yeah,
definitely. Right, mate, we've been going for an hour and 12. Guys,
Leeds winning. It's just makes life so much better, doesn't it? You wake up laughing and dancing.
It does, mate. So yeah, 746 of you watching now. If you've enjoyed it, guys, please slap a like on the video. If you're new, subscribe. Me and Brownie do this pretty much 4 or 5 times a week. Check out Team Wallah. As I said down below, they've got One Leeds 10% off. It's well worth it. Brownie's getting them bare walls done soon. He's got his One Leeds hoodie on, which you can get as well.
I'll still be wearing it tomorrow. It's that nice. It's like a onesie feel.
Yeah,
I just realised.
Mate, I was surprised by how soft it was.
It's like, I can't even describe. It's like, when you go get them like rugs that are just so nice on your feet, and you're just like, it's like that material. Not
pillows, mate. Pillows on your pecs. That's it. Pillows on your pecs. If you want pillows on your pecs, go get it.
I need to buy some pecs then.
Have you got anything else to say, mate, on Leeds?
No, like obviously Team Wallah, and obviously keep checking for the rollover competition that we'll touch on in the the Villa preview. That's going to be tasty, isn't it, Villa?
Ooh. Is it Saturday or Sunday? We've got them.
Saturday tea time, R5, sat down with the Domino's.
R5 with the
Other pizza companies are available.
That's it, guys. So as I say, make sure you like it. Brownie, thank you, and thanks for everybody joining. It's meant a lot to us. I mean, the fact that we're waffling on and you guys are listening.
This midday thing, people are out of work, people are at home, bored, looking at the same 4 walls. If you're looking at mine, it's a white wall. It helps people during the day, innit? So this stuff during the dinner time, it's just great to listen to football chat, innit? So we'll try and do some more during the dinner times periods.
Definitely, mate. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much, and we will see you in a bit. Cheers.